Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time it is where you are. I thought that was something I did because of The Truman Show. I mean, I know that's something I did because of this film, The Truman Show. But then I was watching somebody else's presentation the other day, and they did it. They stole my bit, which I stole, but it was disappointing. I want to look at an LSAT game today. This is the third game from PrepTest 5, June 1992 LSAT. Don't know what we're about to look at. The first two games have been a little bit strange in this section. I guess the first game was a somewhat straightforward order game, and then the second game, just kind of a weird grouping game where each group was actually only one item, or you could think of it as an order game where order didn't really matter. But in any case, it's been kind of a weird section so far, so I don't really know what to expect for this third game, and then finally for the final game of the section, but let's jump in, let's find out. A hobbyist is stocking her aquarium with exactly 3 fish of different types and with exactly 2 species of plants. The only fish under consideration are a G, an H, a J, a K, and an L, the classic fish types, and the only kinds of plants under consideration are the species W, X, Y, and Z. She will observe the following conditions. All right, 3 fish types and 2 plants. I think this is an in and out game. So an in and out game, I don't remember if I've done one before, is a special type of grouping game. It's a grouping game where we only have 2 groups. In this case, the fish and the plants are either selected for the aquarium or they're not. But that's kind of the classic in and out setup. You're either in or you're out. So in this particular case, I'm going to set up, in fact, you can really see number 12. Well, not quite what I was thinking. I was thinking more like this was going to be the inside and the outside, but that's really not what's going on. So what we want is a diagram with 2 sides. There is the selected side, which again we're going to call the inside, and then there is the unselected side, which is the outside. Now, in this particular case, we also know the number of types of fish and plants that do get selected. So it says she's stocking her aquarium with exactly 3 fish types. So 1, 2, 3, and each one of these will be a fish, and then I believe it said 2 plant types. Yeah, exactly 2 species. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fish types under consideration, so that must mean that 2 of the fishes go on the outside, and there are 4 types of plants under consideration. So again, that must mean that there are 2 of the plant types that go on the outside. Let's make sure we have our elements G, H, J, K, and L for the fish. So I'm going to use capital letters for that. G, H, J, K, and L. And for the plants, I'll use lowercase letters W, X, Y, and Z. So this is going to be our setup. And our clues, and this is pretty common on an in and out game, are at least... Well, really, I was going to say at least a couple of them are conditional, but actually all of them are conditional. So we've got conditional clues here. If she selects G, she selects neither H nor Y. So you really want to think through this. Anytime you have conditional clues, you want to ask yourself, can we split these conditional clues up? Like right now it's relating G, H, and Y, but that can get a little confusing sometimes. So can we split this up to where it only relates G to H? Or G to Y? And in this case, the answer is yes. If she selects G, she selects neither H nor Y. That means you can't have H in there and that you can't have Y in there. Well, if that's true, then that's also the same as saying if she selects G, she does not select H, and I don't even have to think about Y. If she selects G, she does not select Y, and I don't even have to think about H. So in fact, this is a splittable clue, and that's how I'm going to set it up. If she picks G, she does not pick H. If she picks G, she does not pick Y. Now, one thing I'm going to do here right away is go ahead and do some deductions for these conditional statements. We normally wait to do our deductions until after we've symbolized all the clues. But with conditional clues, you want to do them right away. And the deduction you always want to do is what we call the contrapositive. You're going to both flip the inequality. You're going to both flip the conditional statement around and negate both sides. So first of all, I'm going to put H over here and G over here instead. But then G being in on the if side becomes the same as G being out on the then side of the conditional statement. And the same thing for H. H being out on the then side initially means when we do this contrapositive, H is now in. And so that is what we call flipping and negating. Same thing here, if Y is in, that must mean that G is out. So we get a lot of information from that first conditional clue. She cannot select the H unless she selects the K. Okay, so unless is a conditional statement. And I usually find it easiest to think about unless clues as if not clues. So I'm going to replace this unless here with if she does not select K. So if K is not selected, and then we just read the rest of the statement. She cannot select H. So if K is out, H is out. But again, contrapositive, flip and negate, if H is in, that must mean that K is in. She cannot select the J unless she selects a W. So again, how I'm going to read that is if she does not select W, she cannot select J. But contrapositively, if she does select J, then she does select W. All right, one more. If she selects K, then she must select X. Okay, so if she selects K, she must select X, and contrapositively, that means if she does not select X, then she also does not select K. Now, at this point in an in and out game, you usually have tons of deductions you could come up with. For example, just picking on this one, H leads to K, right? But we also know that K leads to X. And so you might think, oh, I should come over here and I should symbolize. If H is in, then X is in. And then I'm going to do the contrapositive of that. If X is out, that must mean that H is also out. And I'm going to go through all these clues trying to find those different kinds of links. But you actually don't want to waste your time doing that. And the reason is that those are the kinds of deductions that are just going to happen naturally. Whoops, I didn't mean to go that far back. Those are the kinds of deductions that are going to happen naturally as we work through the game. Like if we're ever in a scenario where we put H on the inside and then we put K and then we put X, we don't need to be checking for specific deductions to tell us that. It's just kind of naturally going to be the dominoes falling as we go through whatever the given scenario is. So any kind of deductions like that we don't really need right now. What is useful to deduce are any spots in the game where we know for sure this or that pair of items has to go there. What do I mean? Well, take a look at something like this first set of conditional statements. If G is in, H is out. If H is in, G is out. Well, what this means is that there's no way we can put both G and H on the inside, right? Because again, when G is in, H has to be out. When H is in, G has to be out. When one of them is in, the other definitely has to be out. This tells us for sure that at least one of them is going to be on the outside. Maybe both, but for sure at least one of them is going to be on the outside. Now they're both fish, so I'm actually just going to go ahead and put that right there as kind of a space where I know for sure on the outside, one of those two fish spots on the outside has to be taken up by G and H. I could try a similar thing for G and Y. Obviously, that's not really a fish spot, so I might just put it here in the middle. And also, I clearly want to remember here, these two spaces could actually be taken up by one element. G, being on the outside, would take care of both of those clues in that case. What you want to look for are any of these conditional statements where you start one way and finish another. So you might start positively, finish negatively, or it doesn't look like we have it here, start negatively, finish positively. And in that case, it would tell you, these two things, at least one of them must be on the inside. In this case, though, all the other clues are both positive and negative, finish the same way that they started, and so I don't think we have any more of those kind of spot or space holding style clues. So with that being said, I think we can go ahead and jump into the questions. 12 is what we kind of think of as a pick a clue question. It gives us a complete, or it says, an acceptable selection of fish and plants. And so all we have to do is pick one of the clues, see if that clue gets violated, and then eliminate that answer choice. And hopefully we'll be able to do that 4 times, and then we'll just pick whatever's left over for the right answer. For example, if G is in, which is what's going on here, right? These are all the fish and plants that are in the aquarium. If G is in, H and Y are supposed to be out. So for example, A is no good. H and Y are both in on answer choice A. B looks okay to me. C looks okay. G is in, but H and Y are out. On D and E, G is not in the first place, so we don't even have to worry about those. She cannot select H unless she selects K, which again, what that means to us is that if she does select H, we know K is also selected, so something like D would be no good, right? When H is there, K is supposed to be there. B, on the other hand, is fine. So remember, just because K is there, that doesn't mean we have to go back and say that H has to be there. That's not the way these clues work. You can't go backwards on the arrow. The example I always like to use with my students is to say, if you're born in Dallas, that means you're born in Texas, right? Well, that's fine, but is that the same as saying if you're born in Texas, that must mean you were born in Dallas? Obviously, no. Being born in Dallas is sufficient to tell you that you were born in Texas, but it's not necessary. There are lots of other places you could be born in Texas, and so that's why we can't go backwards on these arrows. All right, let's see. We've gotten rid of 2. She cannot select J unless she selects W, which again means if J is selected, W has to be selected. So I can see C is no good. If she selects K, she must select X. Okay, on answer choice E, K is there, but X is not. And so there it is. Has to be answer choice B for number 12. Okay, if. Looks like we got a lot of specific questions. Let's start with 13. If the hobbyist selects H, which of the following must also be true? So for 13, if she selects H, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, H is a fish. Well, what else do we know? If H is in, G is out, so that's one of the 2 fish that are out for sure. And we also know that if H is in, oh no, that was just down here. I thought we were going to say something about Y, but again, we actually don't know anything for sure about H and Y's relationship. We do know if H is in, K is in. I think this is actually what I was using as an example a second ago of the deductions. So K has to be one of the other fish that are in. If K is in, X is in, so X has to be one of the plants that are in. I'm not seeing anything else about the plants. Some possibilities here. We could have J and W in right now. They could fill up those 2 remaining places, but it doesn't look to me like they have to fill up those remaining places. It could be Y and L instead. Do I know anything else for sure that has to go on the outside? I don't think so. So at this point, we're pretty open. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the answers. What must be true? She selects at least one W. Again, that's possible, but I don't think it's a must be. She selects at least one X. Yes, right? That's the one. So B is the best choice for number 13. Number 14, if the hobbyist selects both X and Z, which one of the following could be the group of fish she selects? So only looking at the fish here. If she picks X and Z, the plants, what else do we know? Well, if X is in, do we know anything? No. Again, this clue we can't go backwards on. Doesn't mean K has to be in. If Z is in, do we know anything? No. We do know if X and Z are the 2 plants selected, then it must be W and Y. That are the 2 plants that do not get selected. And now we can say if W is on the outside, J has to be on the outside, right? So J has to go out here. And then doesn't say anything about Z. So I think, if G is in, H is out. Oh, actually, that's our placeholder, right? Yeah, very good. So we still need one of G or H to be out for sure, which in this case means the other one will be in for sure, and then the other 2 fish have to get selected. So if J, we know for sure is on the outside, it ends up that K and L have to be selected. So actually, there's quite a bit we can figure out. What could be the group of fish she selects? Well, it's either HKL or GKL, and that is C, right? GKL. And so 14 is C. Excellent. Let's skip 15. Yeah, but 16 gives us some information to go on. If the hobbyist selects a Y, which of the following must be the group of fish she selects? Okay. If Y is inside, what else can we say? When Y is in, G is out. So G definitely goes on the outside. But if G is out, I don't know anything else. If K is in, X is in, that's in play, but it doesn't have to happen. If J is in, W is in, again, that's in play, but it doesn't have to happen. I'm not seeing much, and that takes care of both placeholders. So right now, H could be in, H could be out. If H is in, K is in, X is in, that looks like a possibility. Yeah, I'm not seeing much here, so let's go into the answers. Which one of the following... Oh, wait, which of the following must be the group of fish she selects? That's interesting. So this is just a little bit strange. We know it can't be GHK because, of course, G is out. But it doesn't seem to me like that should require some other set of fish to be in. I mean, if H is in, K is in... I will say this, okay, I'm starting to see something. It cannot be the case right now that both J and K are in. Because if both J and K were in, then both of the plants W and X would have to be selected, and we don't have the room for that because Y is selected. So one of J or K is going to have to go on the outside, and the other one is going to have to go on the inside, K/J. And so that means my two other fish have to be H and L. And so for sure, H and L are on this list, so I can cross off E and B. Then why is it going to end up being one of the two? Let's see. If H is in... Oh, if H is in, K is in, right? So if H is in, for sure it has to be K, can't be J. And so J is actually out here, not going to be K. And we could figure out the rest, but for the purposes of this question, all that matters is that we know the fish. So it has to be HKL. Interesting question. All right, two more. Number 15. The hobbyist could select any of the following groups of fish for the aquarium except... So kind of like number 12, but they're not telling us about the plants here. Well, we don't have to have either H or G. We just definitely can't have both. So I'm not seeing any answer choices we can eliminate for that reason. We do know if H is in, K is in. So for example, C is no good. But I think that's the only one. Oh wait, except if H is in, K is in. Never mind, that's the answer, right? This was an except question. If H is in, K is in, so there's no way that C can work. Okay, nice. One more, number 17. The hobbyist could select any of the following plant combinations except... Well, we've already seen X and Z, so for sure we can cross off E. And I guess if we go back to 16, if K is in, X is in. So we've also seen X and Y, but that's not an answer choice. Oh, yes, it is. It's D. So cross off D, because we've seen that. We want to know what does not work. I feel like it's going to be related to these. I don't know. If J is in, W is in. Do X and W work? Why would there be a problem? If Y is in, G is out. Well, I think the best thing to do here is just to try out. There are only 3 remaining choices, right? So let's just try them out. And one of them shouldn't work for some reason. So, I mean, let's think about 13. We could have put J in, right? And that would have meant W was in, which means X and W, Y and Z would be on the outside. If Y is out, G is... Wait, if Y is out, we don't know anything. So what's left over? L? I don't see any rules that that's breaking. And so I think X and W should work. So A is out. What if we made it W and Y? Both of those come up in the clues. So I feel like maybe more will happen if we try W and Y. So each of the following could be selected. So what happens if we pick W and Y? Well, on the outside, that means that X and Z have to go out. But then after that, if X is out, K is out, okay. And we know one of G or H is out. That's a placeholder, right? In this case, that means the other one has to be in. If it's G, that's a problem because Y would have to be out. But if it's H that's in, K is supposed to be in. Yep, there it is. But K can't be both in and out. And so W and Y is an impossible combination. So that's the kind of thing that we could have deduced from the beginning of the game, I guess. Obviously, there's a connection there because 17 is a general question, so we could have figured that out. something like W and Y, you know, a circle with a slash through a clue. They never go on the inside together. But again, it happened naturally as we tackled the question. We just had to try out a couple answer choices in that case. Pretty confident, but as always, we should check. So we've got BBC, CDB, CDB, CBD, CDB, BBC, CDB. Nice. We did it. We got them all right. Great example of an in and out game. Many in and out games, you actually don't know how many elements go on the inside. In this case, we did. So you could also think of this like a grouping game where we knew the sizes. There just happened to be two groups and we knew the sizes of each group. But in general, the in and out game is a good game type to have under your belt. It is relatively common. And there are some ways that the diagrams help, the deductions you make, the ways the clues work that are specific to in and out games, rather than applying more generally to grouping games. And so it's a game worth knowing. I would say in terms of difficulty here, that feels to me like maybe that would have been the easiest game so far. So if we had skipped that first game, which I thought was a little bit weird at the time, then yeah, maybe we would have done game 2, game 3. Don't know what we have here, but it's long, right? We got 7 questions, kind of a long setup. So probably I would go 2, 3, 1 there, and then save this 4th game for the end. But we'll have to see that next time. We'll take a look at that 4th game next time. As always, I'm trying to go through as many of these games as I can. It is summertime. I'm a teacher, so I am off. But nevertheless, trying to get some of these videos up, a couple videos a week would be nice. So if there's a game you'd like to see, put it in the comments below. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I will see y'all next time.